Hi there. Let's see, I'm going to share it with my group. Okay, so hopefully you can hear me okay. I'm outside, so it's a little bit loud, but I'm going to make this quick because I don't have a lot of time, but wanted to make sure I got on this week and touch base and give more value and give more information because I have gotten a lot of questions this week, and so I want to make sure I help as much as I possibly can. I want you to be prosperous with your personal chef business, and I know there's so many questions that people have, so I'm gonna kind of take a different subject every single week. And today what I'm going to be talking about is creating a service agreement that will help you retain clients, because ultimately that's the purpose. Is we want to retain clients for a long time. We want to be, financially stable. We want to have an income that's consistent, and really the way to do that is to get long-term clients, because otherwise you're just in this. Oh, thank you. I got a like for that. Awesome. Yeah, because otherwise you are just in this cycle of feast and famine, which nobody wants to do. You want to be able to rely on income. So, but you also need to protect yourself. So you don't want to, just jump in with both feet and not have anything written down. But you also don't want to scare people away. You want to be inviting. You want them to want to work with you long term. So you wouldn't think that a service agreement would really make that much of a difference, but I truly feel that it does, because you are giving your energy in that service agreement of who you are as a business, the financial transaction. It says a lot about your business. Whether you think about it that way or not, it really, how do I explain this? It gives that vibe of who you are as a business person, if that makes sense. So, it's interesting because, you would think that you would want to do something really extensive, but here's my rule for service agreements, and I never call them contracts. That's not my rule, by the way. I'm just telling you that I don't ever call them contracts because I don't like that word. And you're a chef. You are not, you're cooking a meal for them. You're not performing, open heart surgery. If it doesn't work out, it's not that big of a deal. You both go your own ways, and you got paid and they got food. And that's really what you want it to be about. You don't want them to feel like, they are tied in and they can't leave if they want to. But at the same time, you want to feel that, you're protected and that you're not just going to not know. Yes, service agreement. That's what I call them, service agreement. I do not like calling them a contract. Thank you. You want them to know that, they can't just willy-nilly cancel on you last minute. They can't just kind of keep their scheduled date and then decide they don't want that any longer after they've already committed to it. So, you have to set your boundaries, but at the same time, you do not want to push them away. You do not want to scare them away. Here's my rule. When you're doing a service agreement, unless it's somebody's wedding or, some extremely detailed event with, a variety of different menus, maybe, stations, things like that, one page is my rule. Your service agreement as a personal chef should not be more than one page. If you're giving them pages of something to read, do you think if they don't have time to cook their own food, do you think that they're going to have time to read your service agreement? I mean, think about how much time you put into it. They're not going to want to put that much time. They want to just know the basics. What are you making? How much is it going to cost? And what are your rules? Put your rules so they remember them. If you make it 5 pages and you have different rules, they're not going to remember all your rules. However, if you have these clear rules, your cancellation policy, you know, my policy, I would tell them they need to give me 48 hours. However, you know, if it became a pattern, you know, one time somebody could get a waiver and they wouldn't have to pay, but if it happened twice, they would have to pay. But I don't know that I ever even had it happen twice. I think if you're really clear about what your boundaries are in the beginning, then that's gonna let people know what to expect. If you put too much stuff in there, they're gonna be like, whoa, Nellie, this is a little much. I don't know that, or they're just not gonna read it and they're gonna think it's all BS. So one page, it should include very specifically what you're providing with the food, very specifically what your price is, and this is for, you know, events and things, and whether you want to add gratuity, things like that. If you're talking about your personal chef agreement, you don't need to put a menu on there because your menu is going to be changing all the time. You only need to put very minimal things. You know, what services are you going to be providing? What are they going to be providing? What do you need from them? The cost. You know, you can even collect their payment information on the service agreement and let them know you'll be charging them as you provide the services, so you don't have to constantly check in with them. But whatever it is that you want to provide, when you want to make clear, one page, put it on the service agreement and keep it simple and make it friendly. Make the tone positive and friendly and about what you are giving them, not what they're giving you. Okay, so you don't want a service agreement to have the energy that you are just in it for the money and that you just want to know you're getting paid, and if they don't pay you the amount you want, that you're not giving them service. It's not, you don't want it to come across like that. You want it to come across that you're a very caring chef and that you're ready to provide them a high level of service, and here's what they can expect and here's what you're going to charge for that service. Keep it very simple. And I'm going to disclose that my father is an attorney, and so throughout my life I've always gone to him for advice on writing letters or communication with people. So I really do have a little bit of knowledge on the law and how to word something that you can protect yourself, but also keep it friendly and keep it simple. It doesn't need to be long. You are not going to get into a legal battle with your clients. I mean, it's just not going to happen most likely, unless I can think of, let's see, what's the worst situation I've had? Maybe I had someone bounce a $1,500 check one time, and you know, that in itself is very simple because it's like, you know, that's a service agreement, a check right there. If they wrote me a check for $1,500 and it bounces, I don't necessarily need a service agreement. But ultimately, what I learned from that was always get a credit card number on file. That's a lot more foolproof. So, what questions do you have? I'm just talking as usual. If you have any questions about contracts or service agreements or anything else with your business. And here's what I'm deciding to do. So, because I did have a couple different people have contract issues this week, and it's kind of ironic how that happens, where it's like the same thing happens to different people. So that's why I decided to do a live about it. But I am also going to add a bonus to my course, in addition to the other bonuses that are in there, like the client assessment that I have in there, where you can, that's ready to go in the menu. If you want, you can use those things ready to go for your business. I'm also going to add my service agreement in there. So those of you who already have my course, it's going to be put in there soon. And so you can use that as a copy if you want. You may think it's a little too basic for you. You may be like, wow, Jessica, you could have made this a little more, extensive, but that's how I like it. I want it really simple and easy for the client to understand. So would you just use a Word document for a service agreement? Yes, just a Word document is fine. And you know, if you want, you can put your logo up at the top. Make sure you put the date, make sure the date of whatever it is, the service you're providing, how much it's going to cost, who the parties are. If your client is expected to provide anything, so if you're doing an event and you want your client to provide the wine, for example, or if it's a cooking date and you're going to be using their cookware or anything like that, you might want to put that in the agreement. So yeah, just a really simple Word document. You want them to be able to open it from wherever they are. If they're on their phone, look at it and say, yep, that looks good, here you go. I mean, you don't need it to be, you just want to have it in writing. Sometimes informal but informative is perfect. And you know, this probably is not, my attorney father would not probably agree with this, but often I wouldn't even enforce the signing of the service agreement. If a client had been a client for, if it, not with a first-time client, I would always have a service agreement. But if they had been my client, let's say, and they do the same event every year, or we've just done 3 different events, and I send them the service agreement for their information purposes only. I don't even send it to have a contract, because I will send the service agreement with an email and say, hey, don't worry about signing it. Just send me a reply back that this looks good to you. Because if I had to have a legal battle, which I really don't think that would ever happen with somebody if it got to this point, but let's say you did, you have that email where they wrote back and said, yep, this looks good, and there's a back and forth. I mean, you just need to really minorly protect what the boundaries are, and then you always need to make those choices internally of what you're going to offer. So if you're going to give above and beyond, that's not going to be in your service agreement. So if you want to give them a little bit extra, please don't put that in your service agreement. That just makes you look like you're wanting to get credit for giving them extra. Just give good service and make the service agreement easy to read and very simple. So hope that was helpful, and I definitely am going to put a copy of that in the course over the next couple days. I'm going to have my team help me with that, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great week, and if you have questions, you can always come back and just put them in the comments. If you haven't checked out my webinar yet, definitely sign up at chefjessica.com, and you can grab the free webinar, which has tons of information on starting a personal chef service. And you also join our group if you're not in the Facebook group, Prosperous Personal Chefs. We have a lot of good information over there, so you're very welcome. Thank you, and have a great day. Bye-bye.